With permission from Her Majesty herself, Alan Titchmarsh takes a stroll round the backyard of Buckingham Palace and discovers the royal family aren't the only ones enjoying these gardens. Join us in the Queen's Garden after we get the very latest national and international stories of the day with the ITV News.
An AirAsia flight is missing with 162 people on board. The Airbus disappeared from radar as it flew from Indonesia to Singapore. Relatives face a desperate wait for news. Also tonight, a major rescue operation is underway off the coast of Greece after a car ferry caught fire. And a leading doctor's call to arrest the drunks who disrupt A&E.
This is ITV News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. The search has been halted for the night for an AirAsia Airbus missing off the coast of Indonesia. 162 people are on board, including one Briton. The plane was on its way to Singapore when bad weather prompted the pilot to request a change of course. And there's been no contact with air traffic control since. Sejal Karia has the latest.
For the anxious relatives of those missing, it's an agonising wait for news. Searching through lists posted in the airport in Indonesia, looking for names of loved ones and desperate for any clue as to what happened to them. This man said he should have been on the plane, but that he cancelled 2 weeks ago, but that his two friends did fly. And it's believed this British businessman, Hull-born Choi Chi-man, and his 2-year-old daughter Zoe were among those travelling on the plane. And it is an AirAsia Airbus similar to this one that's missing. Flight QZ8501 had 162 people on board, including 16 children and 1 baby. The airline's chief executive, Tony Fernandez, and chairman of Queen's Park Rangers Football Club has now arrived in Indonesia.
We don't want to speculate as to whether weather was a contributor or not. We really don't know. Let's find the aircraft.
At 5:30 a.m. local time, the 2-hour flight took off from Surabaya in Indonesia, bound for Singapore. About 40 minutes in, the pilot asked to change course and fly higher due to bad weather. Minutes later, it dropped off the radar.
Maybe there was something went wrong with their instrumentation or something in heavy cloud. Icing might have occurred, and maybe there was some element of pilots not assessing the situation, because it would seem strange and unlikely that the sheer turbulence or such like could have caused an aircraft to be lost.
As night fell, the search and rescue operation was suspended without any sign of wreckage.
So, Sejal, as you say, the search and rescue has been suspended for the moment. When's it likely to resume?
It's due to resume first light about 7 o'clock local time, about 11 p.m. our time. Singapore has announced that it's going to send 4 naval ships to the area to help in the search operation. And the US may also help if required. They say that they are monitoring the situation. And unlike the search for MH370, which is covering a huge area and is still ongoing after all these months, the search for this AirAsia plane is much smaller in scale and concentrated in and around the Java Sea, but clearly it's going to be a very long night for those relatives of the missing, anxiously and desperately waiting for news.
All right, Sejal Karia, thank you. At least one passenger is confirmed dead tonight after a car ferry with nearly 500 people on board caught fire off the island of Corfu. A major rescue operation is being hampered by heavy seas and bad weather. 2 Britons are aboard the ferry, which, as Sasha Williams reports, was crossing from Greece to Italy when the blaze broke out.
The plume of smoke is so thick you can barely make out the ship beneath. But closer, you can see the car ferry burning, the flames just visible on the left-hand side. When these pictures were taken, all on board, among them 2 Britons, who'd been making the crossing from western Greece to the Italian port of Ancona when the fire broke out. One of them, Nick Channing Williams, told ITV News how smoke was billowing from every window. He is still on the ship, but says it's now listing and there's a real sense of panic. The Navy and Coast Guard have started airlifting people off the ship one by one, but high winds and heavy rain are hampering the rescue effort. And as some passengers scrambled into lifeboats, one man died when he slipped and fell into the sea. Greece's shipping minister says this is one of the most complex operations the country has ever seen.
We are in constant contact with Italian authorities and the Greek armed forces. We are committed to rescuing everyone on the ship and are trying to ensure that nobody will be left unaided.
But dozens are still waiting to be rescued, and so the efforts are continuing into the night. They know the longer the ship burns, the greater the risk it could sink. And so now it's become a race against time. Sasha Williams, ITV News.
Hundreds of holidaymakers are stranded in emergency shelters in the French Alps after heavy snowfall blocked roads to ski resorts. An estimated 15,000 people were stuck in freezing conditions, unable to get to their destinations or to return home. Other tourists were stranded at Chambéry Airport. The shelters are being kept open until the roads are cleared. And here, rail passengers are still facing delays tonight as services get back to normal after yesterday's disruption. Trains using King's Cross and Paddington stations in London are said to be busier than usual as the backlog is being cleared. One of Britain's top doctors wants drunks who disrupt hospital casualty departments to be arrested and prosecuted. The head of the College of Emergency Medicine says workers are fed up with dealing with abusive people. Our correspondent Romilly Weeks is outside a hospital in central London. Romilly, why are these concerns being raised right now?
Well, Dr. Mann is someone who has years of experience working on the front line in accident and emergency departments, as well as representing all of Britain's emergency doctors. Now, at Christmas and New Year, you'd expect A&E departments like the one behind me here to be particularly busy picking up the pieces after the rest of us head out to parties. But emergency workers are saying all year round, regularly, they're now dealing with so many drunk and abusive people that other patients are having to wait. So Dr. Mann is saying that enough is enough, something of a crackdown is needed, and more of those who cause a drunken disturbance in hospitals should be arrested.
We already do have on the statute book a piece of legislation which allows us to, if you like, have a final sanction against people whose behaviour is so unruly that they are diminishing the amount of time we can spend with people who really need medical time. That statute already exists. I'm simply saying that we could possibly be doing more to enforce it.
The Police Federation is claiming that police don't have the resources for such a zero-tolerance approach. But with the NHS in England facing what's widely expected to be its toughest winter ever, doing nothing might not be an option either.
Romilly Weeks in central London, thank you. Well, turning to football now, and the top three teams in the Premier League were all held to draws today. Leaders Chelsea fell behind at Southampton after a Sadio Mane goal. Eden Hazard equalised for the Blues, but his side couldn't find a winner despite dominating for much of the second half. Third-placed Manchester United were held to a 0-0 draw by Tottenham. Ashley Young had the best chance of the game, but his shot was saved by Hugo Lloris. Well, these were the other Premier League results today. Manchester City threw away a 2-goal lead to draw with Burnley. Elsewhere, there were wins for Leicester, Stoke and Arsenal. And the game between Newcastle and Everton is still going on. Newcastle lead 3-1 with just a few minutes remaining. And that is it. I'm back with the late news at 10 o'clock. Until then, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Outlook. Worcester Bosch sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello there, good evening to you. We're expecting quite a widespread frost tonight as temperatures plummet. Quite a harsh frost, particularly across western parts, and as well as the frost, some fog forming too. Now the fog most prone across northwestern parts of England, southern parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, and that fog will be slow to clear tomorrow morning. Also the risk of seeing 1 or 2 showers, mainly along the Wash and into East Anglia, but elsewhere it's dry and fine. Some beautiful winter sunshine to enjoy through the course of the day, but despite the sunshine, it is going to be another chilly day. Temperatures at around 5 degrees Celsius, a little milder across the far northwest of Scotland, and where the fog lingers, temperatures barely getting above freezing. Bye-bye for now.
A warm outlook. Worcester Bosch sponsors ITV National Weather.